Just give me $1 to deposit in our bank.
A classmate working at a major bank said to me with a sneer at our middle school reunion. "Are you really okay with just $1?
Yeah, even a day laborer can afford to deposit $1.
He said, looking down on me as if I were living hand to mouth. He has been looking down on me since we were kids, always mocking me as the poor guy in a haunted house. You really haven't changed at all, but I have. All right then, I'll just keep $1 and close the rest of my account. You said $1 is fine?" I replied with a grin.
Don't try to act cool when you're poor.
He laughed. "Well, laugh all you want. Today will be the last day you get to laugh so much. My name is Michael Harris. One day, I received a notice for my high school reunion. Turning 40 this year, our class reunion was scheduled. Normally, such occasions would be filled with fond memories. However, I wasn't feeling too great about this news. Haunted by unpleasant memories from high school. I lost my parents when I was young and was raised by my grandparents. With no one else to take me in after my parents' sudden death, my grandparents took on that role. But their household was far from comfortable, scraping by just the two of them. Life in the old house was tough for the three of us. Having transferred schools in the middle of elementary school, I struggled to fit in. Furthermore, we couldn't afford new clothes or things, and I gradually became the target of mockery for being cool. My grandmother would repurpose her old clothes to make new ones for me. Thinking back now, that's a great thing, but at the time I wanted to wear new clothes like everyone else. Yet, understanding our financial struggles, I couldn't voice my desires. Although I wanted to play with my friends, I couldn't join because I don't have a game console. I was ridiculed and laughed at for being cool at school, leaving me without any fond memories of my student years. After receiving the reunion notice, I debated whether to attend. Ultimately, I decided to go. Despite being overshadowed by bad memories, it wasn't like I had no friends at all. There were a few with whom I really clicked, and I felt the desire to see them. Upon reflection, it seemed silly not to go just because of things that happened long ago. So, I decided to attend the reunion. On the day of the reunion, I arrived at the venue and finally reconnected with old friends. Since graduating high school, I had been so busy with work that I hadn't seen many of my old friends. We caught up on decades worth of stories and had a great time. I felt it was indeed a good decision to come today.
Hey, aren't you Michael?
Suddenly, someone next to me called out my name, ending the pleasant time. Just from his tone, I knew who it was. He was Charles Murphy, the guy who used to tease me for being cool. Turning around, I saw that Charles's entourage, who had ridiculed me since elementary school, was also there. Charles's condescending tone brought back unpleasant memories. I swallowed my emotions and responded maturely. "Hello, Charles. Long time no see."
Hey, don't casually call me by my name, as if we're buddies, you poor thing.
He laughed disdainfully, trying to mock me as if nothing had changed.
You've aged quite a bit, poor guy in a haunted house.
That's nostalgic. His house was hardly fit for living, right?
Charles and his gang mocked me, laughing gleefully. Even after all these years, I was surprised to still be called cool. At the same time, I was appalled that nothing had changed in Charles's character. He had been calling me Pua Guy in a haunted house since I transferred schools in elementary, living in the old family home. This nickname continued through elementary and high school. It's a memory so vivid that I still recall it distinctly, a bitter experience for me. Back then, I couldn't retort to Charles or his gang. I remember secretly thinking that I was going to be a big shot in the future and look back at Charles. I focused on my studies, aiming for a better university than Charles, enduring whatever was said about me. However, my aspirations were dashed, as I ended up working right after high school. As I got older, my grandparents' health declined, and they frequently needed medical care, making finances tighter and my continued education challenging.
Oh, that's right. You couldn't afford university and got a job right after high school, didn't you? How's life with a low level of education?
Charles, remembering that I had to work immediately after high school, mockingly laughed at me. His loud teasing drew the attention of others besides his group. People around us gave wry smiles at Charles's unchanged behavior towards me, yet no one intervened. I was used to this kind of situation. I had friends, but since elementary school, no one had ever stood up to Charles. The reason was that Charles's family was wealthy and influential in town. Even the teachers couldn't reprimand him for his misbehavior at school. Once, a classmate tried to intervene when I was being teased, but he suddenly moved away and transferred schools. Everyone believed Charles must have told his parents, leading to that classmate's family being forced out of town. As a result, including my friends, no classmate dared to correct Charles's behavior towards me.
With just a high school diploma, you must not have a decent job, right? What are you doing for a living now? Begging.
Well, I'm doing various things now.
Various things like what? Day labor. Must be tough living day to day.
When I responded to his question, Charles laughed dismissively. I felt uncomfortable, but knew arguing wouldn't help, so I stayed silent. Let him think what he wants, I thought, as I looked at Charles with resignation. Then Charles started bragging about himself.
Must be hard being lowly educated. Well, I went to a famous university, which paid off. Unlike you, I'm competent, got a job at a bank, and now I'm a manager.
His bank was a major one that everyone knew of, and the people around us couldn't help but express their awe, saying that's incredible.
My life is better than you could ever be.
He said so, and showed everyone pictures of his trips abroad on his phone. Charles boasted about traveling abroad twice a year, during summer and winter, always staying at the best hotels in those places.
Wow, that hotel is really luxurious. I'd love to stay there someday.
It's nothing special for me. I've been going to places like that since I was young.
I wish I could live like this once I become a manager of a major bank.
Charles continued to boast to those who looked at the picture and envied him.
I'm just reaping the rewards I deserve, although it means I have to work hard.
Being a manager must be tough.
Indeed, everyone says they'd be in trouble without me. It's quite demanding.
Charles replied happily to his flattering classmate with a smug face. I was just listening, but felt that continuing this conversation would be a waste of the reunion time. As I was about to move to another spot to chat with friends, Charles addressed me again.
Rich kids grow up to be successful and stay wealthy. You, on the other hand, were destined to live a life of poverty from birth.
His words no longer hurt me. I had grown up. However, this particular comment, which felt like a slight against my family, angered me. As I glared at Charles, he seemed amused by my reaction and intensified his taunts.
If you want to blame someone, blame your deceased parents or your poor grandparents.
I've never resented being born into my family, and I never will.
Ridiculous. A day laborer trying to act cool.
It's not about acting cool. I'm just speaking the truth.
Is that so? Well, being born into a good family is also a talent, they say. Seems like that's just the right fit for you.
I didn't usually talk back to him, but I did. So the people around us were confused to see us getting worse. One of my classmates, who cared enough to stop us from heating up, spoke to Charles.
Hey Charles, would a major bank consider discussing a loan?
A loan? Are you running a company or something?
Yes, it's a small company, but we've been thinking about getting a loan.
I see. Coming from a major bank, I can hardly imagine dealing with small companies, but it's still 100 times better than dealing with a day laborer like him.
But surely a major bank wouldn't bother with a small company, right?
Normally, we wouldn't bother, but since it's you, I'll listen to what you have to say. Be thankful.
Charles said, acting superior even to our classmate. Though I was annoyed by Charles, I appreciated the classmate's concern for me. Such consideration would have been unthinkable in high school, but it seemed everyone had grown up. However, Charles couldn't resist undermining this, turning his attention back to me.
Hey, I'll make an exception and listen to your concerns too. After all, I am a manager at a major bank.
Thanks, but I'm not in trouble at the moment. If I ever need to, I'll consider consulting with you. I replied calmly. Charles burst into laughter, holding his stomach.
Ridiculous. Are you serious? Like you'd ever have anything to discuss with a big bank like ours?
I'm not saying it isn't, but...
First off, do you even have a bank account? Deposit $1 with us. Even a day laborer can afford that.
I looked straight at Charles. Are you really okay with just $1?
Yeah, even a day laborer can manage to deposit $1.
All right, then I'll just keep $1 in the account and cancel the rest.
What? You have an account? I bet there's hardly any money in it. Don't act tough.
Despite his continued mockery, I had one more thing to say. Since the manager himself suggested it, I guess I have no choice. You'll soon find out how much was in there. Charles looked confused at first, then laughed again, thinking I was just bluffing. I left Charles behind and walked away from the scene. The next day, I went to the major bank where Charles worked. Upon telling the receptionist that I wanted to talk with the person in charge, I was led to the reception room at the back.
Mr. Michael Harris, thank you for banking with us. What brings you in today?
I'm here to close my account and transfer my funds to another bank. The banker looked shocked, his eyes widening.
Close your account. You mean to close all accounts under your name?
Keep just $1 in my personal account and cancel all the rest. The peculiar request left the banker speechless. I explained everything about the previous day's reunion, mentioning Charles by name and explaining that I was acting on the manager's advice. The banker seemed to struggle to find words after hearing my story, visibly shaken. Are you okay? Did you understand everything I said?
I am so sorry.
The banker exclaimed, standing up abruptly to apologize. No need to apologize. Please proceed with the account closure.
I'm sorry, just a moment, please.
As he said that, he pulled out his phone and called somewhere. Shortly after, the reception room's door was opened, and the branch manager entered. After receiving a call from the banker, he entered in a panic with a pale face.
Michael, I am truly sorry for the discomfort we've caused. Could you please reconsider the closure of your account?
Both the banker and the branch manager were profusely apologizing. No wonder they apologize in a panic. I had deposited a sum of $100 million in this bank. I was actually a successful real estate investor. The journey to this point was anything but easy. After high school, I juggled jobs at a local gas station and a convenience store, as those were the only places willing to hire a high school graduate like me. I worked tirelessly, day and night, saving every penny to enroll in a correspondence university. That effort eventually led to a job at a local real estate firm. There, I deepened my knowledge of real estate and gradually developed an interest in real estate investment. I delved into real estate and investment studies beyond my job, finding immense joy in learning. I had a great time learning. My confidence grew as I continued my studies, and I started with small investments. Initially modest, I steadily increased and expanded my investments, growing my assets over time. Recently, I've been planning real estate development projects with construction companies and advising on luxury real estate. The house once derided by Charles as a haunted house is now a popular antique cafe, providing a stable income. After my grandma and grandpa passed away, I inherited the property but could not live there due to my work schedule. So, I decided to preserve and remodel the house, leasing it for the cafe. I've accumulated wealth through various means, which is why I told Charles I was doing various things.
Could we have a little more time?
More time.
We will handle the matter with Charles appropriately. Please allow us some time before making your final decision.
I feel a little bad for them for asking me many times. I don't want them in trouble. I regretted that I had been a little childish. I agreed to a one-week period proposed by the branch manager and the banker, delaying the account closure. They seemed relieved.
Charles has had various issues. We will conduct a thorough investigation and respond accordingly.
The branch manager didn't tell me any more about him, but I contacted someone. I had a good friend who worked at this big bank. When I told him about this, my friend told me about Charles's reputation. Charles was known for his domineering attitude towards junior employees and had multiple customer complaints. Rumors suggested he accepted personal payments under the guise of facilitating loans. Executives were eyeing Charles for potential demotion, and my friend speculated that this incident might trigger severe disciplinary action. A week later, I returned to the bank. Meeting with the branch manager, the banker, and now a corporate executive, all of whom apologized profusely.
We are deeply sorry for the discomfort caused to you.
After verifying the facts, Charles acknowledged his words but refused to apologize to you, leading to appropriate disciplinary action.
What kind of action was taken against him? When I asked, they responded sternly.
He has been terminated.
Terminated. Honestly, I didn't expect such severe action.
He just couldn't bring himself to apologize to you due to pride, showing no signs of remorse. We couldn't justify keeping someone like him, who failed to meet his managerial duties and made customers feel this way.
It was a decision made after discussions among the executives.
Refusing to apologize to me was typical of him, it seems.
This wasn't his first act of misconduct. Our investigation revealed many previous issues.
Hearing this, I remembered what my friend had told me. The executive's expressions suggested this was an inevitable decision due to the accumulation of various issues. The executives did not tell me the details, but when I asked my friend about it later, I found out that it was true. I was told that everyone was grateful to me because there were so many people in trouble with Charles's attitude. Grateful for the bank's firm stance against him and the sincere apologies, I decided not to close my account.
We look forward to your continued business with us.
I left the bank, escorted out by the three of them.
Hey, you jerk.
Suddenly, I was berated. Charles was waiting outside. Somehow, he had found out I would be there today.
It's your fault I got fired.
Charles was trembling with rage, glaring at me with unprecedented intensity. He was glaring at me with the sharpest eyes I had ever seen. He probably never thought he'd be brought down by someone he considered so beneath him. I didn't ask for you to be fired. I just wanted to close my account except for $1, as you suggested.
Getting cocky? You've ruined my life.
It's all your responsibility. Despite everything you said and did to me, I never blamed you.
Shut up. People like you who climb up from poverty always play dirty.
Defending his bruised ego, he lashed out at me. I was astounded by his unrepentant nature. Stop belittling others. It would be better for you to drop your pride and learn some decency. I tried to reason with him as a former classmate. However, Charles didn't listen to my words at all and attacked me furiously. In that moment, bankers and security detained him, preventing any harm to me. Still uncontrolled, Charles was eventually taken away by the police. I later learned from classmates that he was disowned by his family and divorced by his wife after the police incident. It's not surprising, given his termination and subsequent behavior. He then disappeared. While I never wanted revenge, I couldn't sympathize with his downfall. Reflecting on my journey, I felt glad for persevering without blaming others. Soon, I plan to go on an overseas trip with my family, living happily with my wife and children. I sometimes mourn the absence of my parents and grandparents, but am grateful for my upbringing. Despite a better life now, I vow not to become complacent like Charles, remaining thankful for what I have.